Welcome to episode 53 of the Rebel Army podcast, the official podcast of Cork City Football Club. And this week we have a special preview of the Cork Super Cup. Back with another podcast, joined as always by Aaron. How are you?
Not too bad, Stephen. How are you?
This is episode 53, isn't it?
It is. I think the start of the last episode we said 53, but it was actually 52. But this one is definitely
This
53.
is definitely, yeah. We were getting carried away. We were going into the future, but
we were getting too excited.
I suppose, wasn't a bad result on Friday night.
No, a clean sheet.
Clean sheet, first
of all,
of the season.
Yeah. So that was great to see. Another game that we probably should have won.
We should have, yeah.
And we'd feel hard done by not to have won it. But
I'd say Kit feels probably bad missing that.
Huge chance, isn't it? Yeah, that's the one everyone's talking about.
We had a few other chances.
We did plenty. I know we all would have absolutely loved to win the game, and it would have been a huge 3 points for us. But it's a clean sheet anyway, so that's something we haven't done this season. Until now, so that's something to be.
And it was on the back of another draw against Drogheda earlier in the week as well, and I suppose you have 2 draws. I know we're bottom of the table, we're 4 points off them, but it feels like there's building blocks. Yeah,
and it was looking nervy for a while as well on Friday because obviously Sligo were winning up against Bowes.
Bowes did us a favour at the end.
They got a late equaliser, so
very late, I think. Yeah,
that was great to see that happen because we needed that. If we had won the game against Pats, we'd been that a bit closer to Sligo. But as you said, it's something to build on.
Yeah, something to build on. Look, and I know there's been a lot of kind of pessimism around the club, but I feel like there's a bit of a reset happening or something now, or a chance to maybe, I suppose, go again. I know the mid-season break was 2 or 3 weeks ago, but it feels like with the window opening now on the 1st of July, it does feel like it's a fresh start with new players coming in. I know we're saying goodbye to a couple of lads as well, but it just feels like, I don't know, with I suppose Jordan Dave, this is something for them now.
Yeah, so we're recording this on Monday, which means the window's opening tomorrow. We've already announced a couple of players that are coming in. You'd like to hope there'll be a few more as well to come. So,
hopefully.
As you said, it is, I know what you mean, it's kind of a weird one where the mid-season break was a few weeks ago, but this feels like mid-season.
It does feel like it, yeah. I don't know why. And the fact that we don't have a home fixture in Turner's Cross for a few weeks as well, the whole thing feels like it's... I
think it's 2 away games and a cup game.
Yeah.
So we don't actually have a league game at the Cross for a while. But as you mentioned, the squad will be different because straight away we've had 2 departures. So Tyne Troost and Rio have left.
Yeah.
Rio Shipston. Both of their loan deals have expired.
Two lads we had on the podcast at the start of the season. Yeah.
And the press release put out the other day, we tried to keep Tyne, and there was no way we could keep Rio because of Sheffield Wednesday situation. So both of those have left. Since we last spoke as well, we've had Charlie Lutz come in. Kit Nelson has extended his loan deal as well. So those are 2 really positive things. Kit's been phenomenal for us all season. So to get him tied down till the end of the season is a really important one, I think.
And we brought in another defender as well, haven't we?
Rory Feely as well, yeah. Yeah, Rory Feely, who'd be more familiar to League of Ireland viewers because he spent some time in the league.
He played with Bowes and stuff. And, so like that, and that experience is actually quite valuable as well.
100% in the scrap that we're in, you need that experience. So.
And of course he's going to join Fiacre at the back.
Yeah, Fiacre, who's been, like we almost announced him so long ago, people nearly forget he's a new signing. He hasn't featured for us yet, but he's been around for a few weeks.
But I think he's been training with the lads.
Yeah, he's been training, and we've seen him at Turner's Cross as well, obviously.
I met him there last week or so. Like, I couldn't get over how tall he was, actually.
Yeah, I told you that, wasn't it? Yeah, he's really tall, yeah.
He's a big guy. So, like that, even just, his presence alone, but his experience, having played, top. Like, he's played in kind of League 1, League 2, I think, for years. Yeah. So, like, he's bringing that experience of good football and tough football. Those divisions are tough,
And because we've hit this July 1st point now, they'll all be signed, they'll all be registered, so they're going to be available for the next game, which is huge for us.
Which is away to Shells on Friday, isn't it?
Away to Shells on Friday, yeah.
Who are managerless at the moment.
Yeah, Joey O'Brien's running the show, but I think that's an interim setup for now. I don't know their situation there, but yeah, Joey's running it, so a trip to talk to face Joey O'Brien's Shelburne, not Damien Duff's Shelburne, like they've been called for the last 2 years.
Yeah, be a bit different. It'll be interesting. Hopefully they don't get a new manager by Friday or something, and it'll be typical, like the new manager bounce thing. No,
the bounce that everyone looks for.
Although when Waterford had a change, it didn't help them when they came to the Cross that time, so I'm hopefully, like,
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
I'm looking forward to seeing I obviously don't know what the team will be, but the new lads, you'd imagine they will be involved. So looking forward to seeing that on Friday.
Yeah, and like some of these guys, like, has Charlie come to training yet? No, or is he over?
I don't know, to be honest, because we announced him, I think it was on Friday, the day of the match, that we announced him, and we're recording this on Monday, so I wasn't in over the weekend. We were in Turner's Cross on Saturday, not Bishopstown, so I don't know if they're in. That'll all be clearer kind of as this week goes on.
Yeah, and look, if he was with Aston Villa's, I suppose under 20s and stuff like that, you'd imagine he was an exciting prospect, so hopefully we can restart his career here.
The thing with him as well, it's not like he's just a young player from abroad that we've never seen. Ger worked with him at Aston Villa, so that's a crucial piece of information for that signing as well. So yeah, we'd like to all think Ger knows how to get the best out of Charlie, so we'll look forward to that.
Listen, there's been many a player that have maybe come from top UK clubs before, come back to Ireland and do well. Probably the best example is Shawnee himself.
Exactly, yeah.
Exactly. So like, obviously he had been with West Ham and stuff, and then came back over, and obviously he was with Dundalk for a bit before coming down here, but like...
We'll forgive him for that.
If the right coach is with a guy and have a good relationship with them, you never know what could happen.
Absolutely, 100%, yeah. So we look forward to seeing what Charlie's about.
The women were unlucky on Saturday.
Oh, it was heartbreaking.
Because they clawed it back.
We were 2-0 down, got it back to 2-2. Eva Mangan got a cracker, and Fianna Bradley capitalised on kind of a defensive mistake by Peamount. So got it back to 2-2, went to extra time. Peamount unfortunately won it. So it was a sickening one. I caught up with Frank Kelleher after the game, and sickening and heartbreaking was the sentiment in that interview as well.
It'll take me a couple of days to get past this one now, Aaron, to be honest. Yeah, I think we gave everything again. Like 2-0 down to come back and make it 2-2, and to lose 3-2. It's tough. It's a tough one to take. Yeah, it is.
And you mentioned the comeback 2-0 down. Such a young team as well.
Yeah.
The players coming off the bench are so young, to be able to mount that comeback and the confidence of being 2-2 going into extra time. It's just, it adds that bit more to the hurt.
Oh, it does, yeah. I mean, we changed the formation. We went to a 3-5-2, so we played 2 strikers up for the last 30 minutes, and we brought people off the bench who were fresh, and it changed the game for us. Fee Bradley was excellent when she came on. Amy McCarthy did really well, and I think it put them under pressure. And I think when we went down the stretch to 2-2, I believed that there was only going to be one team who's going to win it, and it was us. But that's football.
And Amy going off, she was incredible when she came on. She was causing them all sorts of problems.
Yeah.
So it's probably a sentiment that if she stayed on, it could have been different. But at this point, is she okay?
She's okay, yeah. I think she's okay. I think it was just a knock on the shin. I think it could have been a free kick, but look, that's the way it goes.
I suppose out of the 2 cup competitions now, focus is fully on the league.
100% it's on the league, yeah. We're into transfer window as well, so we're going to have a look at a few players, bring a few players in as well to strengthen the squad. Because if we can do that, I think we can hopefully go to the next level, because I think we're close now.
You mentioned the transfer window. There's been a bit of change in the squad. There will be more, but there's been a few departures the last week or so.
Yeah, Evian Donnelly has left us in Heidi O'Sullivan, so we're looking to replace them and bring some more players in the transfer window, yeah.
Yeah, you could hear the disappointment, the fact that I suppose they had pulled it back in his voice. I suppose they were unlucky again. He's had no luck this season.
And you know what, Frank as well, think back to 2017, like Frank loves the cup.
And they were underdogs that time when they won that.
Yeah, and you could tell on Saturday that it was different. Like we were really attacking focus, like he was really going for it. So yeah, very disappointing for him and for the girls, the whole squad. But as we mentioned, with the transfer window opening for the men's side, it's the same on the women's side. So Frank mentioned there that we've had a couple of departures, first of all. So Evian Donnelly is gone and Heidi O'Sullivan's gone. We all wish both of them the very best of luck. But Frank's also, there's a couple of girls in training and there's a couple of girls that he's working on getting into the squad. So it'll be a different squad on the women's side as well over the next couple of weeks.
So all changes in Bishopstown at the moment.
All change. It's that busy time of the year. Speaking of busy, back to Saturday actually, we were in Turner's Cross, not just for the women's game, but the Amputee League Cup was on in the morning as well. City against Bows, 2 games against Bohemians. And 6-1 win. Kevin O'Rourke from City got a hat-trick actually, and City were the IFAA League Cup champions, which is brilliant to see.
Well done, lads. And what about our academy? Were they playing over the weekend?
They were. All the academy teams were in action. So on Saturday, our men's under-20s took on Galway United in Bishopstown and they lost 4-0. The 15s also had Galway. That one was up in Mayfield and we narrowly lost 5-4. Ollie Lynch got 2, Destiny Ockeredia and Cian O'Neill got the goals for City. The men's under-17s again faced Galway United. 2-0 win in that one. Corey O'Sullivan and Charlie Hanover with the goals. And then on the women's side, the women's under-17s drew 1-1 against Galway United in Mayfield on Saturday. Lily Foskin got the goal, and Lily actually then came from Mayfield to Turner's Cross to come on and make her senior debut for the first team afterwards.
That's some
which was brilliant to see. A very busy afternoon for Lily as well.
On the same day.
Yeah. And then on Saturday, the women's under-19s were away to Shamrock Rovers. It was a 5-2 loss up there. Emma Hurley and Eva Loftus with City's goals.
Kind of a mixed results there, but more positive probably than negative. So, no, well done to them all. And they have a busy summer ahead now probably. And for a lot of the academy, I'd imagine it's good because they're all in school still. So this summer they can probably focus full time on football.
Yeah, and it broke up for a couple of weeks as well, obviously, because people were doing exams and stuff like that. Yeah. So everyone's back in action now. It's moved past the first phase of the way the academy season is structured. So difficult and tougher games coming up for them, which is
they start playing teams from outside of
it's kind of
local area.
It's broken up, and now it's into the next stage of that. So it's going to be tough games coming up, which is good for everyone's development.
That's good, and they have more time to travel as well at this time of the year as
Absolutely,
well. Without interfering.
The away trips become easier.
Yeah, and the weather's a bit better for them as well. They're not going all the way up to Galway or somewhere in a bleak winter's day or something.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be better anyway. Some days there in July and August it'll still be lashing rain for a match day, but
I know.
For the most part it's more manageable anyway.
Yeah, although they're getting a bit of a heat wave in Dublin at the moment. I don't know where ours has gone, but hopefully it'll come soon. It's just I think we had our good weather just before the exams. I think in May our good weather was this year.
I think we have another good spell coming up, so that
fingers crossed.
Brilliant if we had a sunny day down in SuperValu Páirc Uí Chaoimh next week, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be unbelievable. So last week I took a stroll down and went in to meet the CEO of Cork GAA and Kevin O'Donovan to find out exactly, I suppose, how did it come about that the match was going on there, because this is the first club fixture. I know we had the testimonial for Liam Miller a few years ago, but that was a testimonial kind of legends game. There's obviously been 2 women's internationals matches there as well, but this is the first time an actual club team, like as in City and Celtic, will take to the pitch. So I think it's a big occasion that maybe is slightly maybe going under the radar a bit, I think, in Cork. So it was nice to catch up with him. So I went in and popped in. Welcome to the Rebel Army podcast, or shall I say thanks for hosting me, Kevin, at Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
I'm delighted to welcome you here, Stephen. I hope you're the first of the Rebel Army coming here in the next month or so.
Yeah, so we're on a countdown at this stage. We're only less than 2 weeks away to a very significant match, actually. I think people are not underestimating how significant it is.
Yeah, I think so, in terms of significant for the city and sport in the city. And I think Cork people have that in their DNA, this ecumenical approach to sport, whether it's Roy or Sonia or Raj or Cork City. And I played junior football against John Caulfield below in West Cork. So that cross-pollination, we've always seen that as, yes. And I've always seen that Cork people will always support the team. That inter-sport rivalry doesn't really exist. I don't hear it. When we win underage titles there over the last decade, Cork City were the first to invite the team in to parade the cup in a match beforehand. So while we're all competing for hearts and minds probably every day and promoting our sports, when it comes to the teams, there's just nothing there. Everyone's just on the bus, I think. So it's great then to have a match like this to symbolise that.
And this is the first club game. I know there was a testimonial match and we've had the Irish women's team, but this is the first club fixture to be actually played, football club as in association football, on the pitch outside.
Yeah, and with the Liam Miller game, I suppose that really broke down the door, and since then we've been racing through. So we've had the 2 Munster Rugby games, we've had the 2 women's football internationals. So this is kind of just another evolution of that. And I think they're all a little bit symbolic as well, and that they're showing the stadium as the People's Stadium. My vision is just for it to be a municipal stadium. I think stadiums are expensive public goods that need public support and funding and need to be multi-sport. This wasn't built as that, but this is our way of maybe retrofitting a little bit of that.
Yes, obviously the old Páirc Uí Chaoimh was demolished around 2013. Was it 2013, 2014?
You kind of the new one opened in 2017, so
it took a few years.
Demolition, redevelopment kind of 14 to 17.
We're on the exact same pitch though, are we?
Yes. Same footprint.
So it's not like it's moved down the road or anything like that. For anyone we could have some Scottish people listening.
Goalposts are near, as an engineer might say, they moved an inch to all of us. They're in the same place.
So the same place where Jimmy Barry Murphy, Christy Ring, Michael Jackson and Prince also played out in that pitch. So like it has been kind of symbolic kind of feature for the city landscape for a long time.
No, hugely. And then we think similarly of Flower Lodge and Páirc Uí Ring and so on. So I just see grass and sport and goodness. So, but absolutely, like the greats of our games have played outside there. I know maybe there's a few more greats to come. And the Munster Rugby game was the All Blacks, B team we call them, and South Africa and so on. The Crusaders coming and the South African second team maybe. They all came here, so it's all just part of it. And of course, we've Roy here for most of our games. Roy's up there in his seat at most games. So I just think that ecumenical sporting thing, we'll all wear the shirt.
Was it hard to get it to this stage? Like you came in as the kind of CEO around 2018. Was there a challenge in terms of getting other sports in here?
Yes. But maybe not in a dramatic way. Maybe it's something you roll on bit by bit. I suppose there was huge work done in the Lee Miller testimonial in that brought the change in rule. Now, the rules were still very restrictive after that. There must be an event of national importance. It must not conflict with the values of the GAA, etc. But I think there's a growing appreciation now that it's the right way to go. Was it easy or difficult? No, it's just something that I believe in, and you just roll on each game at a time. So it's kind of one game at a time rather than one big dramatic head-to-head where it was a change in the road. The other part of it then is that maybe they haven't all been totally challenging to the GAA ethos either. That as games, each one wasn't a major dramatic moment. So an evolution rather than a massive turn in the road. And I'd say there would be reservations in some quarters. Maybe people are shy at times to express those reservations. But my view is simple. I believe in when it comes, training facilities are much more difficult. When it comes to stadia, they must be multi-purpose. They're too expensive. They're public goods. There's too much taxpayer money inside them. They must be open to the public.
And I suppose there's already great relationships between intercounty clubs going across. Maybe I can see in particular in the city where local soccer clubs hire the pitches from GAA clubs because they have the facilities, maybe floodlit facilities, AstroTurf, and there seems to be a good relationship there already. The
relationships are good on the ground, but I suppose the GAA at national level, and I wouldn't disagree with them, would be quite proprietorial in terms of the amount of effort it is to build those facilities. And training facilities are different to stadium facilities. Training facilities, everyone wants that pitch on the 15th of January on the wettest night of the year. And Cork Camogie wanted, and Cork Ladies Football wanted, and the senior hurls and footballers, and Cork City wanted, and Munster Rugby wanted. So you'll eventually, it's grand to be all peace, love and understanding. We all want a kitchen. You don't share your kitchen. So that's where it gets more difficult. In building those municipal training facilities in the future will be harder. Stadia are quite easy because it's one-off events.
And plus, I suppose, how many times a year is it actually used outside?
Absolutely. No, it's used far more than people actually know because we've our club programmes and we've several intercounty teams and we've the Camogie Ladies Football in there now. But is it used 365 days a year? No. Should a stadium be used 365 days? It kind of has to in some way to pay the bill, the rates, the energy costs. Stadiums lose money internationally and they've international soccer games and Champions League being played in them.
Of course.
Stadiums are like churches, they're public goods. You need to get the bodies in there. So maybe we didn't have that appreciation when we built the stadium, and maybe others don't have the appreciation. So I'm always activity. The only thing that restricts that then is your pitch. That you can't play 7 times a week in a pitch.
Of course you can't, yeah.
So the pitch is kind of the limiting factor on that. But Camogie Ladies Football, they're all in here. And I say they know, sure, it is the same sport, there's no they. But that's more so than in the past. The other thing we do have is we've an absolutely, though we use the word world class is used too much in the world, about players, about buildings, about everything. The one thing we do have world class here is the pitch. So the pitch is of a level that it can take traffic and it's got the 5% artificial fibres in it. So that's why we know we can take a Munster Rugby game last year and turn it around 3 days later for it to be ready for Nemo Rages and the Munster Club Championship game, despite Munster tracking across it with scrums. So
yeah, because you could imagine that could be the toughest of all, especially, the rough and tumble on the ground in terms of a rugby match compared to a typical GA game.
And the other thing with the rugby is so maybe there was a bit of foresight so the pitch failed after the stadium was built. When we put in the new pitch, it went the extra mile, and those questions were asked. Is will it be suitable for other sports? Even though we had no other sports at the time. So at least it was future-proofed so that it can meet the needs.
And who asked those questions?
Me and others. And some good supporters. Some good supporters on the board would share that vision. And now it has become kind of accepted. So evolution, no revolution here, evolution. The other thing too, though, is we have learned from the soccer games, and you learn soccer, I'm afraid, is our terminology.
Of course, yeah. I have to say football, but I have to be clear.
Yeah, I know for the real football, association football, I know soccer is, I know it's not a word you like, but we have to use it here because they think we're talking about our football.
It gets confusing, yes.
So from association football, we've learned a lot about the pitch and the absolute obsession of that sport with the condition of pitches and the low level of the grass, and we're amazed by the level of water that is requested by the teams, by the Irish women's football team, and this, so it's been a learning process for us too. And we've an incredible groundsman from he was in Croke Park, Colm Daly, he's from Blackrock. He has educated us and brought up to that level now. So whatever about the word world class, we can go world class on the pitch. So that's a big thing when you're bringing in the other sports.
So did he look elsewhere when he was, I suppose, redoing the pitch outside? Because I remember actually the initial pitch, there was trouble, but the new pitch looks fantastic. So did he go and look at international stadiums? That was
redeveloped before he came here.
Yeah.
So he's now the groundsman manager. That knowledge, John Murphy from Gold Crop, a very reputable company in Cork, he would have brought that in, he would have brought the international experts in, and you get international. The people who lay the pitch would lay Champions League pitches in Europe, so you can buy in that expertise.
It's a specialised job, really.
We didn't all go touring stadia across Europe.
Yes.
We just got in the guys who did those.
Okay.
But we have an obsession with grass and pitches and hurlers especially, but we didn't realise that association football, oh my God, they really care. They would almost not care what else happened in the world as long as the grass was right. And you see them all, they all go down to Fota training. I keep asking, what's the thing about Fota? Oh, dug grass. That's all soccer teams care about is the grass.
So I'd be interested to see, in particular, I suppose, Celtic, a big club coming over from Scotland, they play in the Champions League, a lot of international players in their squad, how they'll take to the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will hopefully have the Cork hurlers, if they're lucky enough to beat Dublin, will be training for an All-Ireland final that same week on that same pitch. So it's going to be fun, and that's why your groundsman earns his money then. He needs to have this height for Cork hurling training this day, he needs to have this height for Celtic and Cork City the next day, and then the Cork hurlers are back in the pitch the night after. They're saying, where's our grass and where are our goalposts? So
a big job.
Great for me to say, let's do all this here, and there are other guys picking up the pieces.
Yeah, and the other thing that you have to do, obviously, is make the pitch smaller. Because that was the one thing from what I remember, some of the players that were playing in the testimonial, they were exhausted after the game because the pitch is so big. Yeah, the pitch is bigger than Wembley.
I missed the Lee Miller game. I was just away at the time, but I'd say there was liberties taken with the pitch that time.
They left it maybe a bit bigger?
Yeah. I'd say they nearly killed the lads. I'd say the wings were double what they'd be used to, and these were men in their
40s and 50s.
So no, again, Munster helped us a lot with that one. When Munster came in for their first rugby game against South Africa, they reframed the pitch with their advertising hoarding internally.
Okay.
The women's football have done it since with LED, so they've almost. When you're here for those games, you almost forget the GA pitch. They reframe it inside an inner circle.
Yes.
So of course there's this empty grass around, but the way they dress the pitch is not as bad as it was for Lee Miller. For Lee Miller, it looked like the boys were lost in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Now they enclose the pitch with advertising hoarding and LED, so it actually makes sense as its own pitch.
I'm guessing state-of-the-art dressing rooms and stuff for the players here as well.
Yeah, all that stuff is easy when you build new, like that's all standard. And coming out the separate tunnels and so on. Again, some of those cultural things change as well, where it's very much a part of soccer that they come out together through the tunnel and that. So now they have to walk up, whereas we're used to keeping the J boys separate in case they go boxing each other at the time. So they're all lovely little things that we learn along the way.
So different rules.
And there's a big mystery when you host the first one of those games. And then when you come around to the second or third game, Colin has his goalposts. I don't want to be talking to Colin about goalposts or grass or anything. No, that's all done. So that was the benefit of the women's football games. Commercially, they're not game changers, but your stadium is on TV. You're sending out a message that you're open for business. You're sending out a message about women's sport. And then you learn a nice little bit along the way as well about what are their requirements.
So how did the Super Cup come about? Did you come up with the idea, or did someone approach you?
It's very much our own, and our commercial director Sinead Keefe would have driven it along with a company called Druid Sports. Now Druid Sports are an international sports company, but they'd have roots in Cork with their founders are Corkmen, we'll say, and they would have given us a lot of support and naming rights, so we would have partnered with them for this. We would have a conversation with Dermot Usher over the last few years as well, the kind of friendship there, and saying we must do something together. But in terms of this game, we're the organisers. Cork GAA and Druid Sports are the organisers. We're carrying the risk. We're engaging the teams. We're running the event. That might be a different model another time. It might be Cork City run a game and they rent the stadium from us. But there's no rental in this one. This one is us.
Yes.
We've full management of the event, and we'll pay Cork City, we'll pay Celtic, and we'll run the thing from there in partnership with Druid Sports. Munster Rugby, when they would come, it would be a different model. Munster Rugby would give a stadium rental for the night. They carry the show, they carry all the risk. So those models, they vary depending on who you're dealing with and depending on the game.
There's around, 21,000 seats and a capacity then for another 20,000, 24,000, is it?
Yeah, ballpark, yeah.
So it's one of the bigger stadiums. I mean, if we talk about soccer and we talk about, I suppose, what we're familiar with in the UK and stuff like that, it will be up there in terms of numbers. Obviously, the seating will be big. There'll be more seats in those stadiums.
Yeah, it's decent, and we have that challenge as well, in that we have to find a place for ourselves in the world. We're not 80,000 like Croke Park. We're not the Aviva. We're not in Dublin, where we can't run smaller concerts like Musgrave Park with a 4G pitch. So they're all different. So you have to find your place in the world, and this is the place in the world we found now. And this game is kind of an experiment for us too, to see what is the appetite out there. We always knew we have to do a soccer game with somebody coming from England, and we've spoken to the other Premiership teams as well. So this is a kind of a first run at it for us. We always wanted to do it, so we're doing it on those terms. In terms of the seats, of course, for FIFA or UEFA games, you lose your terraces then,
which happened with the Irish women's team in the Nations League.
Yeah. So again, but if you got a big one of those, to be worth your while to seat it. And Croke Park will be seating Hill 16 for games like that, where the licence requires for it to be seated. We could do that as well, but you need a significant event to justify that infrastructural change then as well. So like all those terraces are not a problem then in rugby. So you all those little...
And terraces are coming back into soccer as well, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future.
Yeah,
it might be a specific type of terrace.
Yeah, but and then a competitive game would be different to this. This would be very much non-adversarial, this particular game. But if you had an official competition soccer game, then the bar would jump again. We feel we're happy in that space, and we could answer those questions if they arose.
There was a lot of talk around, I suppose, the European Championships in 2028. I know Casement is to be redevelopment up the north, but if it didn't happen, would you put your name in the ring down here?
So that ship has sailed, so we did put our name in the ring. As Casement was running into trouble, we would have known it from our GA sources that there was an issue. So we worked hard. We got the backing of National GA, we got the backing of Jared Burns. Ultimately, it was kind of too late in the day, and UEFA had made their decision that they were going to put those games into existing venues rather than recruit another venue. And I would have done research on it as well, where I think it was Newcastle and others were kind of on a short list. So it was an awful jump for us to come at that stage. It's a pity it all happened so late, because that is something the city of Cork deserved to be on that map.
Yes.
But it kind of got lost in translation once Casement was there. Then Casement fell out. Then it was too late for us to get in. So we lobbied hard for that. We went after that very hard nationally with Minister of Sport and with Croke Park and everything. And the ship had kind of sailed away and said, we're not looking at another stadium now. We'll put the games into the ones we have.
Which is a pity. But who knows, maybe in the future something like that could happen.
And that's the point. If you put yourself in the shop window and in the conversation, at least they'll know your name for next time. Same with Katie Taylor. Went hard for a Katie Taylor fight. I tried hard on that one now. Couldn't happen. But now you have their mobile number for the next time, or they have your mobile number, or they know the stadium exists, or you can send them your deck and show what you can do. So you kind of, a bit like any business, you have to throw a lot of darts at the wall before sometimes they land.
And that's fascinating to hear that you're actively seeking other events because I think people would have this perception that it's just sitting there idle, but you're working hard, but it's a lot harder to get things in than people think.
And as a city you need we're probably improving our relations now with City Council and so on. You kind of need to go after those maybe on a bigger footing over a decade, where you're travelling overseas to expo events and you're twinning with his city. We tried American football, tried to get that too. The numbers didn't add up. They can put 80,000 into Croke Park at God knows how much a ticket. We wouldn't be able to manage that here, but we had those conversations. But if you're more in the game over time, it'll come your way. Same with the concerts. We've done everything possible, but we find ourselves just in a mid-level region with the concerts that we can't put the 80,000 that Coldplay can put into Croke Park, but then we're too big for the 10,000 you might put into Musgrave Park. Our pitch means you've got to put 40,000 people out there to justify the damage to the pitch. So they're not excuses, but we just find the more we experiment now. We did Winterloo, we did the ice skating last year.
Yeah.
Like, you want your head examined now to put an ice skating into a GAA stadium for 3 months. But we learned a lot. Something we can consider again in the future. So you have to do things that are kind of you're not sure about, borderline decisions.
And are you still going ahead with a museum here?
Yes, but again, museum, a dangerous thing, something that you lose your shirt in a museum, even Croke Park, the National Museum, they break even on that. But a version of that, absolutely an open municipal stadium that you can come into and go on a tour maybe. So rather than a room with pictures on the wall, you can come in and get a tour of Páirc Uí Chaoimh even the pictures that are on the walk. So that's just... I'm wary of things like that being...
And maybe only in the summer months or something like that, probably,
or a pre-match thing or something. Yeah. So we've got to be very smart and clever here. We don't have resources. We've tiny staff. So it's got to be all a little bit start-up, a little bit guerrilla, a little bit not spinning massive overheads, but trying things.
I suppose the advantage for fans, and for anyone that isn't familiar, if anyone is listening from maybe Scotland to this, it's very close to the city centre. I mean, it is in walking distance, and with the likes of the Marina Market and places like that, there's a lot to do on the way, isn't there?
Yeah, and every day this place gets closer to the city, because every day that walk gets shorter, because it's becoming an urban walk. A bit like when we go to Thurles, there's no problem walking miles to the stadium, because they're walking through the square. And if you ask people to walk to Páirc Uí Chaoimh 5 years ago, they'd say it's too far. It seems a lot closer because the city is coming down. And the walkways in from Mahon and from Passage and all that now means it'll actually, in 10 years' time, when the park and everything is completed, they'll say, wasn't it some idea to put the stadium right in the middle of it? No, it was probably in reverse.
And obviously a lot of new housing developments and apartments and all that type of stuff happening around. The city is kind of shifted towards this side. So it was good foresight from the GAA actually to put it here. The other thing I suppose would be on the match night experience for Cork City fans in particular. They might be used to Turner's Cross, but actually here they can have a drink and inside the stadium itself, and there's food stalls. So you have a lot of different facilities here.
Absolutely, the space is there to make it a good experience, and we know that's what the customer is looking for now. We know that's what supporters want in terms of, I suppose our supporters get a surprise now when they go to other stadia and other countries and realise, oh my God, I didn't realise what we had at home in terms of coming early to the game. We've 2,500 premium level seat holders here who are in 2 hours before every game, having their lunch, having their business contacts, their social thing. So that's the floor we're on now. So it has changed as an experience, and we did a waiting list of 500. We just stopped the waiting list for those seats which we no longer have for sale. So there's a massive desire now when people go out with their kids that it's not us and our fathers going to matches before. It's us and our families going out for the day. It's a different thing, and they want that. And we've learned that from other sports too. I suppose you'd have seen that in year games over in England over the years. And you don't want it to go too corporate, but people are looking for that experience. They're out for the day.
And have you corporate packages available for the Super Cup?
Yeah, there'll still be seats on this level available where it's a premium level seat. It's available online, and then you're on the premium corporate level. So those seats are still available, a few of them.
And there's a kind of an area where you can have there's a buffet and all of that kind of stuff happening. Is there? Yeah, you can get proper dinners.
Yeah, so that's on our floor here. So they're actually, when I said they're sold out by people who have them permanently. But on match day then, for another sport outside of GAA, they have the option to buy. Okay. So because of holiday period and so on, the seat may be available to purchase this week. It may not be available to purchase another week. Yeah. So those seats are available for this event.
So it's a great opportunity. So even if you're a GAA fan that you want to try out some of the nice seats.
And kind of have, whether it's a business group taking 10 or whether it's a family saying, listen, we'll make that our night out for the week now. It's no longer rushing to the match at the last minute and leaving before the final whistle. The people come to matches here now they're here for the event, they're here for the day, they're here for the evening. They come early, they leave late.
So on the day of the game itself, obviously kick-off at 6 o'clock, what time will the stadium open at?
Gates will be open probably 4:30. All our people will be in place 4 o'clock before that. It is a working day, so with rush hour and so on as well, we need to be very mindful of the opening of the stadium. This floor will be open earlier than that then if there's corporate events within some of the rooms on this floor. So there's a public space in this floor, but then there's rooms available for rent as well. So a company or an individual may say, I'll take a room and we'll sit on that floor as well. So loads of different packages, all available by just contacting us here.
So it's an exciting kind of time. I know you're busy with the All-Ireland semi-final, but I'd imagine this is an exciting experience for you as well.
Anytime we see people walk in the gate here, even for the concerts, and you see different clientele and they're looking up at the wall, looking for directions, happy days for us. That means the stadium is growing every day. And that's why the women's football now for me, that being on television, I just said, wow, that's the message we want to send out here. You know, the crowds wouldn't be huge for the women's football, but it's what are you telling people about the stadium? And then the Cork City fans, of course, have an experience here and say, God, wow, was never there before. Now I know what all the talk is about. Yeah. Or, you know, when you hear the negativity around stadium, like I hear people criticising stadium nationally that have never been here. Come and have a look and then give us your view after you've been here.
Yeah, so this is a great chance. It's in the summer, maybe the kids are off school or whatever.
Yeah. And Cork is very much short-changed, Stephen. Like,
it is.
You know that. Cork is short-changed. Now, doing a brilliant job in Musgrave Park with the summer concerts and Live the Marquee, fantastic as well. But Cork is short-changed.
And you had no concert this year. This is the first year in a while you've had no big concert.
Well, we had a carryover from COVID as well, so the number was high there for 1 or 2 years. But the issue with Cork is we see it when we put anything on here, it sells. Like, look at our attendance at our hurling games. Our hurling games are off their charts at the moment. And even the 2 months of rugby games here, despite them being non-competitive official fixtures, sold out on both. Because Cork people are starved of things to go to.
Yeah, it's amazing. And now there's a chance for the soccer fans to come down here. And who knows, we might be back in the future for a European match.
Yeah, well, you
wouldn't rule it out.
You never know unless you go. You got to start somewhere. So let this be the start of that.
Well, look, Kevin, we're looking forward to the match. And thanks for having us in.
No, delighted and looking forward to seeing you on July the 8th.
Yeah, it was great to catch up with Kevin. He's a fascinating guy, but really wants to turn Páirc Uí Chaoimh, I think, into a stadium for all sports by the sounds of it.
You can see that, yeah, and we actually heard a little bit from Kevin the day we had the press conference down there, and you got that vibe even then that he sees Páirc Uí Chaoimh as nearly everyone's stadium. Like they want to have not just GAA, but you've seen there's rugby matches, Munster have played there as well. So stuff like that and that mentality coming out of Páirc Uí Chaoimh is brilliant for Cork as a whole. Like the crowds that are going to come for the game, we've seen what the ticket sales are. It's going to be a great day. It's going to be a great occasion. From our point of view, it's going to be a proud moment to see Cork City step out there.
Yeah, we've said before, like, I couldn't have imagined this like 10, 20 years ago, like that a City team would walk out onto Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Like, it just, you just couldn't. But as he said, the hardest thing was getting it over the line with the Liam Miller testimonial. There was a lot of controversy at that time.
That sort of opened the doors for
that opened
for
the
more.
doors. They had to change rules and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he said it's been a kind of step-by-step process, because Munster, as he mentioned, have gone in there too, played kind of South Africa and stuff like that there, and they played that kind of that game against the team from New Zealand. And then he said, like, obviously the FAI came down with the women's team, so it wasn't that they had to put all this over and to the head office or whatever, or to members, and say, look, here's a load of fixtures, they're all coming up. It's not like that. He said each thing has been kind of done individually, but it's got easier as they've gone through it.
Yeah, kind of, and as they were doing them as well, they could see that it was a success and there was a market to try more things. But it's brilliant. It's brilliant to have that mentality and for it to be so open and welcome for Cork City to go down.
I didn't realise that they had actually approached UEFA about being a venue for the European Championship. But because I asked him, like, I was kind of like being cheeky in many ways.
Why not? Yeah.
I know the guys up the north mightn't like that, with Casement Park and stuff like that, but and they said no, like UEFA will probably move it to England if it doesn't go ahead up in the north. Like, it'll probably go to St James's Park or somewhere instead. But they had put in, and they had worked with the city council on it as well. So it's good to see that, and they're open. He said there's small changes that, if big European games could potentially come there, because they can put in seats into the two stands.
Yeah.
Onto the two terrace ends. So that's good.
But hearing all that sort of thing is exciting for Cork as a whole.
Yeah.
Because everybody in Ireland knows when these big events, be they concerts, matches, whatever, it's Dublin centric, it's Dublin focused. So to have some of it on Leeside is brilliant, and to have something like that and to be involved in it as well, I suppose, as the first kind of big club football match, or the first club football match at all, is brilliant, and we're all looking forward to it. We've been having our meetings with the guys from Celtic and the guys from the organisers of the event, and we're all systems go for it. Celtic are bringing their full first team squad. I know there was people saying, it won't be the full Celtic team.
No, they're back in training since Friday. I spotted that.
Yeah.
And they actually have a friendly before they're playing us. I think they're playing Queen's Park Rangers, Queen's Park in
Scotland, yeah.
So I think they're playing them at the weekend and probably flying here then.
They're all travelling over, yeah. It is just to put that beyond any doubt, it is their whole first team squad that are travelling over.
Yeah, because I know, you see, fans might get mixed up, because in the past, in fairness to Celtic, they have come to Cork. There's been a couple of occasions where they've had a Celtic 11. Yeah,
a Celtic 11 or 21s or something like that.
And they've done us a favour. I think even in our time of need a few years back, I think definitely in 2013, like, they came, and I think in 2009 they might have come as well. But I know they've come, and they've, maybe when the funds were low with the club or whatever, that they came and they played us. And I remember they came as well, I think around 92. Potentially that was Bishopstown.
Yeah, I've seen an old programme anyway, or some poster of some sorts.
Yeah. So they have played us a few times over the years. So it's it's good to hear that it's their first team are coming, but they're probably getting ready as well, because they're actually playing, I think, Newcastle at home themselves the week after. And they're playing then, they're going somewhere lovely themselves. They're going to Como in Italy to play in a little tournament.
Nice for some, isn't it?
Yeah. So they're playing the Como Cup, I think, with a few nice teams actually. But so they're starting their pre-season kind of here, and they've been busy in, kind of with a couple of transfers. I suppose the one that people would probably recognise would be Kieran Tierney from Arsenal has gone back to them.
It's a big one for them, yeah.
He was one of their own players, and they bought a Swedish international there last week, a midfielder. And the fact that he's wearing their number 8 says a lot. And then, obviously we have our own Adamida up front. I'm sure
the typical Irish connection as well. There's obviously Johnny Kenny as well.
Johnny Kenny's there too.
Rovers.
And Scales there as well.
Yeah.
So there's 3 Irish lads in their squad.
That's it's I suppose the natural connection. I think there'll be a lot of people from around the country coming down for the game as well. It's not just going to be a Cork or a Munster focused thing. There'll be a lot of people travelling. Seen stuff online about a lot of Celtic fans making the trip over themselves as well, so it's like that's brilliant. It's exactly the kind of event again that we want on Leeside.
Well, there's plenty of flights. I mean, like, there's flights from Glasgow to Cork with Aer Lingus, and there's flights from Edinburgh nearly daily with Ryanair as well. So it's easy enough to get over. And plus, sure, some of them will fly into Dublin. There's probably 2 or 3 flights a day into Dublin from those places. And they can get the air coach down, and there's flights into Shannon as well, I think. So it's, there's plenty of options. You'd imagine they'll get here. They'll probably create a great atmosphere. It's an early enough kickoff. It's 6 o'clock. It's
6 p.m. kickoff, yeah.
Just in case people turn up at 7:45, like.
Yeah, don't do that. You might catch the last few minutes. 6 p.m. kickoff. Tickets are on sale online, corksupercup.com. We've been told there are going to be walk-ups available as well. So the advice is get your tickets online in advance just in case.
Yeah.
But there is facilities planned to have walk-ups. But again, you're better off buying online. Don't leave it to the last minute.
Is there kind of like little fan zone type of thing or anything outside?
I think they're looking into setting up a fan zone outside as well. Kind of by that red statue thingy. I don't know what it's called, but that area outside.
Yeah, we're all trying to figure out what that is actually.
Yeah, nobody seems to know the name of it. But all of that stuff will be communicated, I suppose, closer to it. Cork Super Cup have their own Instagram account where pretty much everything goes up, and they're sharing all the info themselves. So if you're on Instagram, go over there at Cork Super Cup and you'll be informed on absolutely everything in the build-up.
I'd imagine, as I said to Kevin, there'll be a huge crowd probably down to like the Marina Market, and the black,
of course,
the black market is close by there as well. There's a load of kind of different areas. Like if anyone is listening to this, and they might, maybe hello to anyone from Scotland actually that are kind of maybe, because we'll probably have the Super Cup Celtic in the kind of description, so it might, the way Spotify throws things into the algorithm.
You never know. I might pick up a few
I
Scottish
hope you understand
listeners,
the accents.
I know, yeah, sorry in advance. It's only going to get worse when you're over here.
Get worse. Yeah, so, and actually, like we were talking about how many times it came over, so, like, there is ties as well. There's a couple of players who have played for both clubs. I suppose we've already mentioned Liam, and poor Liam, like, started his career with Celtic as such, obviously, went through their youths, and kind of became a star playing for them in the Champions League and stuff like that as well. And then obviously came here later in his career, and that player that he played here later in his career with was another teammate of his at Celtic, Colin Healy.
Yeah.
So Colin played for both, and from what I can, obviously Saoirse has played for both.
Yeah, we had Owen O'Connell a couple of years ago on loan from Celtic as well.
Yeah, so Owen O'Connell and Mick Conroy, for the older listeners. Mick would have played for Celtic in the late 70s, early 80s, but then played with City in the end of his career. I remember seeing Mick kind of probably at the very end of his career. So
there's one next week that it'll probably be a lot of City fans' first opportunity at seeing him. It's Fiachra Kelleher.
That's right. Yeah.
He was at Celtic.
Was he at Celtic as
he
well?
Was at Celtic in their youth setup. Now you'd imagine he'd probably feature on Friday against Shells, but first time he'd play for us on Leeside would probably be against Celtic at Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
That would be brilliant, actually. Yeah, so
mad how that's come full circle.
Yeah, like so there's, and then there's probably other Cork connections over the years. Obviously, a regular visitor to Turner's Cross, played for them a bit for one season, as in Roy Keane. Roy's a City fan. I see actually there. I see pictures doing the rounds there the other day. There was filming in the corner flag, I think, or something like that. And
that was a while back now, yeah.
Yeah, but it's only starting to emerge. So there was this lady anyway said the ad is coming out, I think, in the coming days. So
soon
she was an
enough,
actress, I think, or something like that, and she was in it, and she had a picture of herself and Roy. And it was lovely to see Roy with the Cork City scarf around his neck.
Brilliant, isn't it? Yeah.
Cove would be going mad.
Oh, they love that down there, yeah. They'll love it.
Yeah, Handsome Bob will kill him over that. So Roy played for him. Obviously, that's where he finished his career before he went to be a manager of Sunderland. So there's all these kind of crossovers, and like they're a club with huge history. I think for a lot of our younger fans mightn't realise, like, they were the first British team to actually win the European Cup, which is now obviously the Champions League, and they won it with 11 lads that were from the area, like supposedly like 10 miles or something. Like, it's a great story. Like,
yeah,
that's
phenomenal. Yeah,
like you'd never see that happen now. Like, it just wouldn't. Like, maybe somebody like Barcelona might do it or something at some point. Bilbao obviously have players from their area, but like, it's such a story. So they were the first, and so they come with a lot of history, and obviously a lot of Irish people emigrated to Glasgow, and kind of 50s and 60s and even earlier than that probably. So there's a lot of people living over there that would have Irish background, and they're maybe this the second or third generation that are coming over now. And they have some amount of supporters clubs in Cork, and they have all different names as well. I don't know why they don't have just one, but anyway, maybe they have little battles between them. But I'm sure they'll all be there on the day as well. And I know there's some of our own fans as well, our season ticket holders over in Celtic. So it'll be a hard day for some of them. Who do they support?
Split allegiances, yeah.
Split allegiances. I know a few fellas that go over to a good few games and go to Turner's Cross every week as well, and so that'll be a hard. Maybe that's when the half and half scarf will come into play. So it's going to be a huge occasion. Something that I think if you're a football fan, I think try and get down to it. Maybe even like some people may not go to Turner's Cross on a regular basis. You know, maybe this is your time now to go down and show, because when Kevin said that Munster sold out the 2 games, I was kind of thinking there's nearly pressure on us to try and
to match it.
To match it,
yeah.
Like, you know, we don't want to be, they're just a small crowd, you know, like we kind of.
Well, there are, to be fair, there are a lot of tickets are sold.
Yeah.
So it is looking good. There's going to be a massive crowd there. So.
And he has spoken to some bigger clubs as well in England, he was saying as well. So by the sounds of it, this is something that there could be more of in the future, which is great. And, you know, going back to what he said, Cork needs a big stadium, different events. You know, he tried to get Katie Taylor's fight or whatever in there as well. Like, it's those type of big events, and who knows, we might get maybe the Conference League final or something on some stage.
And loads of concerts as well.
There's loads of things that we could go for in the future. So get down and support it, and have a great day out. And I think we said it before, the facilities are brilliant. Like, I mean, I said to Kevin, like,
it is incredible down there, to be fair. Yeah, it's going to be a weird one now. You know, normally for our next game it's a case of see down the cross, but we're like see down the park now.
See down the park, yeah.
Feels alien, doesn't it?
So
looking forward to it,
it'll be a great day, and I think that's the thing. Forget about the result or anything on the day. This is an occasion day. There's no pressures. You know, it's not. It's not going to make a difference to us in the league or anything like that. This is a one-off. It's a good one.
Yeah, it's a day out.
It's a day out. Speaking of days out in advance of that, we're back up to Dublin on Friday.
Up the road to Talca Park on Friday. Yeah, Joey O'Brien's Shelburne, as we mentioned earlier on, who I suppose they're not going to be happy with where they are in the league as defending champions either. So
no, people thought they would kick on in their Champions League. I suppose qualifying game hasn't even kicked off yet.
Yeah, that's next week, isn't it? Or the week after?
Yeah. So like, it's amazing, because you'd expect a slump after that maybe, because sometimes the high of it happened to Rovers before, like, you know, they get carried away with Europe and the points start dropping all of a sudden.
Yeah,
you know, but no, Shells have had a slow start to the season.
They have
for defending champions, like.
And obviously we played them at Turner's Cross recently enough as well.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been that long since we faced them last, so both sides would be gunning for it on Friday.
It does feel like sometimes the fixtures come around very fast, but I suppose
sometimes you might not see a team for what feels like months.
Yeah.
And then you play a team 3 times in the space of what feels like a couple of weeks. It's just it's funny how they fall, especially now as you come into the cup competitions as well, and there's another chance to play teams.
Yeah, and that cup competition, the match is on at 12 o'clock.
Yeah, 12 o'clock kickoff on Saturday the 19th. So it's going to be a busy day, because the women are actually playing at 5 o'clock on the 19th as well. So it's a double header in Turner's Cross that day.
I'm guessing it's because of the lads from the.
I'd imagine it's because of Leicester Celtic. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're all amateurs. Like, in terms of they have full-time jobs, like they can't be taking Friday off.
It doesn't. It doesn't just suit them to.
It's amazing they didn't put it on the Sunday.
Standards. Yeah, I don't know the reason behind Saturday at 12, to be honest with you, but it's definitely an interesting one. I don't recall us ever playing a Saturday at 12. So.
No, I remember one Saturday at maybe 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock. God, it's a good few years ago. I'd say, if I'm right, Ed Sheeran could have been playing in Páirc Uí Chaoimh that night, and the guards didn't want another match on at the same time.
I remember something along those lines.
Remember there was something like that?
Yeah, there was a game moved.
And we couldn't play on. I think we couldn't play on the night time.
So it was earlier in the day.
Because obviously, I think there was. Speaking of this, is where Páirc Uí Chaoimh crossed over. The concerts were on the Friday and the Saturday night, and I think they said put the match on early during the day.
Okay. I vaguely remember something along those lines, I think.
And like I was saying, it was kind of weird. It was quite hot as well at the time. I think that was 2018. So yeah, look, you kind of, there's little things pop into your mind. You don't know the exact details. Couldn't tell you who we were playing against. But I do remember going early in the day. Back in the day, actually, years and years ago, there used to be big matches, and in the late 90s, I remember going to a 12 o'clock kickoff. I think it was against either Pats or Shells, and it was live on RT. And I think back then, because as far as I know, we didn't have floodlights and stuff at the time. We used to play on a Sunday. So
Sunday at 2 was the kickoff
Sunday
time before,
was at 2,
wasn't it?
But if we were on TV, they used to put the TV fixture maybe the day before, like on the Saturday instead.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Again, no. There's probably other guys will remember better than me. But yeah, so do you know what? It's something different anyway. 12 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday.
And the fact that there's a women's game afterwards as well, so it becomes a nice double header.
So could people technically stay?
I don't know how that's going to work. That's probably something for us to figure out this week. But
yeah, although there's a huge gap between.
Yeah, they'd be waiting a while. They want to bring a pillow.
It'd be like the Club World Cup there the other night. They were waiting about 2 hours to finish the match. I think there was like a thunderstorm.
Some storm pause play.
There was only 5 minutes left in the match, and it took 2 hours to play it.
So we'll see how that works on the 19th anyway.
Yeah. So speaking of the women, where are they off to this week?
They're off this weekend.
It's
the quarterfinals of the All Ireland Cup, which we got knocked out of in the group stage. So
yeah, so they have a week off.
We're idle on Saturday. Yeah.
So if there is new players coming, it gives them a chance to kind of bed in.
Get more training in and more contact time with the team, I suppose. So
yeah. So so look, an away trip to Shells, and then the big one down the park. So there's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, busy week coming up, because I suppose even after Páirc Uí Chaoimh, we'll talk about this in next week's episodes, but we're away to Waterford afterwards.
That's right.
So it's 2 away games with Páirc Uí Chaoimh sandwiched in between, so a busy week to come.
And there might be more arrivals or departures, who knows. We'll probably have more news by next week.
Yeah, there could be news by the time this comes out, but the main thing for that is just keep an eye on our website and social media, and that's where you'll get all the stuff instantly as it breaks.
Yeah. And so see you down the park.
See you down the park.